They forced her to sit on a spear-covered floor for no crime, until a human stepped in to save her. The hall smelled of iron and dust, and the floor glimmered like a bed of needles beneath the lantern light. Illyra sat with her legs folded under her, shoulders squared by sheer will. The spears were not metal but living thorns, desert growths rigid as glass, that rose from the tiles in a bristling field. Each movement was a negotiation with pain. The crowd kept their distance, eyes hard, as if sympathy might be contagious. Bell rang. The judge, robed in bleached linen, lifted a long staff. "Penance will continue until confession," he intoned. "Justice is heavier than comfort." From the doorway, a human voice broke in, rough with travel and anger. "Justice doesn't draw blood to prove it's real." Heads turned. He was dusty from the road and wore a trader's jacket, its collar patched and faded. Jace Cole, attached to the Commonwealth's trade mission, had come seeking contracts for water filtration units. He had not come for this. Yet here he was, hand on the frame as though holding the building up with his palm, staring at the spear floor and the woman forced to sit upon it. The judge's eyelids fell to slits. "Foreign witness. The right is lawful. Then your law is a machine that forgot its heart," Jace said quietly. He stepped forward until the guards crossed spears to bar him. "What is her crime?" A murmur traveled the benches. "Shadow debt," someone replied, as though that explained everything. Jace shook his head. "That's not a crime. It's an emptiness you pour fear into." The judge indicated a slate. She refused the levy for the cistern expansion. She refused to name accomplices in a suspected theft of municipal water. She refused to kneel when ordered. Refusal is defiance. Defiance bears weight. Jace looked at Illyra. Her gaze met his, clear and steady despite the thorns biting into her. Her fingertips were trembling from resisting the instinct to shift. "Is any of that true?" he asked. Her voice was dry as winter reeds. "I map water under the dunes. The levy was to seize the aquifer I found. They would sell it to off-world merchants. I refused to sign it away." She swallowed. "I stole nothing. I would not kneel to a lie." Jace lifted a hand to the guards. "By the Accord of Spire Cities and the Commonwealth, Article 3, there is right of witness. Claim it. Let me speak with her on the floor, or end the right." The judge's mouth thinned. After a long moment, he struck the staff to stone. "You may approach. You may not lift her. You may not dull the thorns." Jace nodded. He unbuckled his boots and stepped onto the spearfield. A hiss rippled through the crowd. The thorns flexed, seeking weight. Jace eased down beside Illyra, every nerve bright with alarm. Pain bit his calves, then sharpened into steady stings as he found a balance point. He breathed out slowly. "Tell me everything," he whispered. She spoke between small, careful breaths. About the old cisterns that had cracked in the last quake, about the maps she'd drawn to the underground river nestled like a sleeping serpent, about Factor Nesk who had come smiling with contracts and men who stood wordless at his back. About the right of the floor, an old desert punishment meant to unmask thieves by patience and public shame, co-opted into leverage. Jace listened until the judge tapped his staff again. "Enough witnessing. What does penance do?" Jace asked, lifting his eyes to the benches. "When the wrong man calls himself a judge?" A laugh came, brittle with scorn. It was Nesk himself, cloak stitched with silver thread. "The human peddler mistakes heat for moral fire. This is our way." "Your way," Jace said, "is clever. It uses pain like a bribe you don't have to count." He reached very slowly to his belt and slid free a dented canteen. But even old ways are written with water here, aren't they? The guards shifted. No implements, one barked. The accord allows water to those in penance, Jace said, never looking away from the judge. You said I could not dull the thorns. I will not. He unscrewed the cap. The hall went very quiet. He tipped a single drop. The thorn beneath his ankle quivered, then softened. Not much, barely a breath. But its point bent as a desert flower might under dew. Another drop, near Illyra's palm. The cluster there drew back, not retreat but relaxation, as though remembering it was once a plant and not a weapon. Jace raised his voice, not loud but carrying. The spear floor lives. It fears drought more than guilt. Your ancestors chose this because it punishes only when a city is too proud to share water. When the floor touches rain, it remembers mercy. A hum of uncertainty moved over the benches. The judge's eyes flicked to the archivist. The archivist's fingers hovered over a cracked tablet of rules. Nesk's smile thinned. Tricks, he spat. Sentimental tricks. Laws are agreements with time, Jace replied. And time left a note for you in your own hall. He tipped the canteen further. A little river laced between thorns, and where it ran, the needlepoints bowed to it like reeds in wind. Jace slid his hand to Illyra's, not lifting her, but changing how weight spread from her bones to the floor. Breathe with me, he murmured. Back straight, hips steady. Don't fight the pull, ride it. He felt the quivering in her muscles quiet as they found a rhythm. In the benches someone stood. A woman with the tattoo of a well on her wrist. She took off her veiled hood and held it like an offering. We were water before we were a city, she said, voice breaking. Judge, the accord, and the old oath. We said we would never make thirst the instrument of our pride. The archivist, flustered, finally found the line. He read, stumbling but clear. If a penitent is given water, the floor must be stilled. The rite is then ended. Mercy stands before confession. Silence fell like night. Nesk's face reddened. The rule is obsolete. It invites treach. It invites memory, the judge said hoarsely. He raised the staff. Bring water. No one waited for permission. Canteens came from belts, bowls from under benches. Water arced through the lamplight. It pattered on the spear field in dozens of small, luminous drops, and the thorns bowed as one. They did not vanish. They simply ceased to insist on pain. Jace helped Illyra to her feet. Dissuade. He kept his grip light, reverent as if holding a new-made thing. Together they stepped off the field onto cool stone. The judge set down his staff and looked older by a decade. Illyra of the Dunes, he said, voice raw. You are released. We will review Shadow Debt and its usage. Jace turned, scanning faces. Begin your review with Factor Nesk, he said. Check his ledgers against the aquifer charts. You'll find a black siphon, private pipes, public coin. The well-tattooed woman spoke again. We'll find them, she said. Others nodded, anger dawning like sunrise. Slow, inevitable. Nesk backed toward the doors. Two guards moved to block him, not at Jace's gesture. Not at the judge's, but at the city's. It was a different kind of weight, suddenly present in the room. Not the weight of law, but the weight of seeing. They sat on the steps outside as dusk cooled the stones. The air smelled of rain dust, though the sky was clear. Illyra sipped from Jace's canteen, then passed it back. You broke our punishment without breaking our pride, she said. That's harder.